Hi everyone, here's the next video that we're going to do for Gravit on shapes, fills, and borders and getting a little bit more complicated. So let's go ahead and get started. Everything is in your Google Classroom, and the first thing you're going to need to do is download this template right here that is in Google Classroom. Let's go ahead and open it up. And this template is basically what you're going to be working on. You're going to be creating all of these shapes and all of this text, but you're going to apply your own color for it. So you're going to download this, and we're going to bring it into Gravit and work on top of it. So when you first open this up in Google Classroom, probably the easiest thing to do is first click on the three dots and the three options in the top right corner. I'm going to click on Open in New Window. And what that does, when it opens up in a new tab, it then allows us to select, has this little download option right here in the bottom, up here at the top right. So let's go ahead and download it. And it is then going to download, and it is probably going to take it right to your Google Drive. All right, so after you download it, you're going to come to Graphic Designer, and you're going to start a new file. And on this new file, again, we're going to start with just a regular standard sheet of computer paper, which is just 8.5 by 11. Let's go to paper size, 8.5 by 11, landscape. So US letter landscape, that's just a sideways piece of paper. All right, and we're going to import it and bring in our template that we downloaded. So there's a couple ways we could do this. You could either place your image from here, or the long way would be to File, Import, Place Image. They both do the exact same thing. And it's going to open up your Google Drive, and you then have to just basically find, it'll probably be one of the first files there, and you're going to import this template. So let's go ahead and open up, click on it, and select it. And it's going to bring it into our Gravit page. Now, what we are going to do, so this doesn't move around. This is like an image. It is a PNG file. It's just a picture of a Gravit page, but it's all selected, but it's going to move around. So let me go Control Z to move that back. And over here on the Layers toolbar, I'm going to hover over the template layer and click this little padlock button, and that's going to keep it from moving around. All right, so let's start by creating some of these shapes, and I'll do a few of them for you in this video, and some of them you're going to have to find on your own. I'm also going to start going over some of the shortcuts that you need to start figuring out and start memorizing. It'll make your life a lot easier. All right, the first thing, I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this. So I just like to hit Z for zoom on my keyboard and click and drag over the area I want to see. All right, so the first couple shapes, just some square rectangles, rounded rectangles, ovals. So the shapes is up here, up to your selection tool. Again, very important, your black arrow V. And these are your shapes. Let's hit the little drop arrow. I'm going to go to a rectangle, and you are going to basically just draw across the top of it like this. So you're going to create the shape on top of it, but what I need you to do is you are going to create your own color scheme, okay? So I'm just going to change this to a shade of green right now. And also, let me go back to select it, and everything is going to have its own fill and own border. But like I said, these are going to be colors that you choose, okay? So I'm just going to go with that. And then let's also increase the size of this border. Click on the 1 point right there. I'm going to hit up arrow on my keyboard. Let's change it to like a 5 point. All right, so there's my rectangle. And as we talked about before, with any shape, if you have a rectangle, but you hold Shift, it's going to lock it as a square. And I'm not going to worry about colors right now. That's for you. Let me draw another rectangle right here. Let me come back on the rectangle. If I'm going to draw another rectangle, I don't have to hit the drop arrow. Just click on this rectangle right here. I'm going to click and drag. Let me hold Shift. But there is also something we haven't talked about, is this corner. Whenever you select on something, these are all the different options that you might want to kind of look at and figure what they do. But these are the corners where you could actually come and round it right here and around. Let me change the color just so it's a little bit more visible and increase. All right. A couple more shapes I want to deal with is, let's take a look at this star. Now this star is up here under the shapes again. We're going to grab on star. Let's click and drag a star. I'm just going to leave it right here in the middle for right now, just so it's a little bit separate. Change the color to something a little bit more visible. And like I said, when you select on something, there's all these other options. Look over here, and this is a point where we can just increase the number of points. Right now, it's a 5-pointed star. I'm going to click on the 5 right here, single click once. It's highlighted in blue, so I can just type 10 right over it, and it'll change it when it's highlighted. 0, enter, and there's a 10-pointed star. Now to zoom out, my preference is Control minus on the keyboard. There are other methods, but I'm going to Control minus, minus. and then hold the space bar to go to the pan or the hand, and we can drag our page around. Okay, so these other shapes, I will tell you. So you're going to basically create these shapes right on top of the other ones with a different fill and a different stroke color. I do want you to see that you're going to come over here to libraries for the skull, the alien, the shield. You are going to have to look through these on different, they are under shapes, I believe, and icons and stickers you may find in the stuff, and frames. Actually, this one down at the bottom is under frames. This is for you to play with and experiment and look for. It's kind of like a little treasure hunt. All right, you could find these different shapes under here. All right, the way the fonts are going to work is, let me zoom into this first piece right here. It's Z for zoom. Click and drag to the area I want to see. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more. So this is the word piece, and it is Chicle 80 point. So the words underneath, that's the font and size. So you have to go and search around for that. So let me go to my type tool. This is the T for type. I'm going to single click here, and let's type the word piece. And let's go ahead and I'm going to double click to highlight the font. And I'm going to change it to Chicle. So I'm going to type, you can actually type it to make it a little faster, CH. There you go, I. And we're going to change it to 80 point. Let's just highlight it. That 20 is highlighted in blue. Type 80, enter, and there we go. Now, if you want to move around, we do need to be on our black arrow, our selection tool. And I can click, so let me click off of the box first, click out of it so you're not editing it. We'll move it up here. All right, and we'll get that on top. And again, you are to come up with your own color scheme. So in Google Classroom, you will see the template right here, but this is the example of what I'm looking for. This is what it's going to look like somewhat at the end. Now, you are not copying these colors. I want you to come up with your own color scheme. So choose 4 or 5 colors that you think go together. And I'd like to, so everything is going to have a fill and a border or stroke is what we call it, and of your own color scheme. All right, so you're basically creating all these shapes on top of the template with your own colors, somewhat similar to this. All right, I do want you to put your name in the bottom left corner of the page, and you are going to export it to turn it in. Everything, all the instructions are in Google Classroom to turn it in. You're going to go File, Export, PNG, and you're going to call it Gravit 2, last name, first name, and that will be what is turned in for this assignment. All right. Oh yeah, and by the way, here is the link to sign into the cloud. It's kind of the workaround to get to Gravit. If it's not working, you sign into the cloud first, then get to Gravit. But here's the template, and here is an example of what it should look like. All right, hope that helps. Have fun.